All laptops manufacturers try to release laptops aimed at different users and uses. You'll come across budget laptops, mid-range laptops, and then flagship laptops as well. Since you don't necessarily need to spend a lot on a laptop, it's always good to explore your options. We've listed Acer Aspire 3 with AMD Ryzen 5 3500U of the best budget laptops 2021 here. These laptops, although cheap, can do serious tasking and load handling. Besides, if you can get your hands on a good cheap laptop, then why bother spend a fortune on it? Before we start, go ahead and subscribe. Also press the bell button to get the latest updates. Without any further delay, let us start. When speaking of a best budget laptop, you need to know that the specs and performance of your laptop will not be high-end. This means that your laptop will have either a previous gen processor, a low RAM, or maybe lower storage space. However, this compromise doesn't drastically decrease the performance. However, you'll face certain scenarios where a resource-hungry program might not work properly. This rarely happens because for routine work like web browsing, watching movies, playing mid-level games, and other such technical work won't be an issue for the laptops we've reviewed in this cheap laptop picks. Now speaking of specs and performance, you'll normally get 4GB to 8GB RAM, which is more than enough for any task you work out in routine. For processor, you'll see CPUs from all generations. Even the latest 10th gen is available in budget processors, but cores will be lower. An i3 or i5 is what you get when you cut on cost. As for storage space, anywhere from 128GB to 256GB is what comes housed inside these budget laptops, and then in some cases a 512GB is there. Last but not the least, a dedicated graphics card is what you'll miss in these laptops. However, the built-in GPU here is more than enough for things you'll be doing in your daily routine. For a budget laptop, you'll get a pretty nice display, which is good for anything ranging from watching YouTube videos to working on docs. You'll find the display bright, colorful, and satisfactory, unless you switch to tasks like high-end graphic designing or video editing. Technically, you normally get a full HD display, which is 1080p resolution and is one of the widely used displays among laptops these days. Albeit in some cases the resolution is 720p, but then those laptops are very cheap. Some flagship models from popular manufacturers have successfully reached 18 to 22 hours of battery backup, but these laptops are too expensive. On the other hand, when speaking of budget laptops, you'll get a battery backup of 7 to 10 and above hours. This battery backup is more than enough considering the fact that you'll not be burning a hole in your pocket. Any best budget laptop will give you all the daily use ports like USB-A, HDMI, SD card slot, audio jack, and sometimes an Ethernet port. What you'll rarely see is a Thunderbolt 3 port, though USB-C is now common for budget laptops. Clearly, since Type-C and Thunderbolt 3 is relatively a new technology and takes the price high, which is why you'll not see them in all the cheap laptops. However, the ports you get are more than enough to beat the day. This is a hot topic of debate in the laptop world these days. Normally, we know that an Intel CPU is what you get every time you look for a laptop, and surely they are good processors. However, in the past couple of years, AMD came up with some amazing processors and they're slowly making it to flagship laptops. With the release of AMD 4000 series processors, things took a huge turn. Nowadays, you'll find AMD CPUs in many laptops, and the good thing is that they are cheap. But then again, getting back to the main point, if there's any difference between AMD versus Intel, moreover, the answer to this is very simple. Both are good processors and they perform good. But when it comes to cutting cost, then AMD is a better choice. So one should not be worried if AMD is the right choice or not. As a matter of fact, it's a good choice for best inexpensive laptops, which is why manufacturers like Asus and Acer have used them in the first place. Acer's Aspire 3 is a big screen budget laptop that delivers a roomy 15.6-inch display, a comfortable keyboard, and horsepower for productivity work, and even a bit more. Our $529.99 review model, Acer's identifier is A31541R98U, based on an AMD Ryzen CPU with on-chip Vega graphics and an SSD boot drive. Dips under $500 at times from retailers, and it keeps pace with other low-end and mainstream machines, including a few priced as high as $700. Before you get too excited about a $500 laptop soaring so far above its weight class, Know that the price mandates some sacrifices. The display is dull and a coarse 1366 by 768 pixel native solution. The battery life is hours shorter than competing models and the touchpad is subpar. The Aspire 3's raw compute and graphics power for the money is admirable. But an upsell to a model like the Asus VivoBook S15 will satisfy more folks. On the Aspire 3, the only departure from the basic black of its plastic enclosure is a brushed texture pattern on the lid and keyboard deck. Otherwise, the Aspire 3 is about as vanilla as black laptops come. Silver Acer logos on the lid and bottom bezel, plus a pair of AMD stickers below the keyboard are the only exceptions to the monochrome design. At 4.3 pounds, the Aspire 3 forces you to carry a few more ounces than the 3.7-pound Lenovo IdeaPad 530S or the 3.97-pound Asus VivoBook S15. Two other late-model 15-inch budget laptops. At an inch thick, it is also a bit thicker than those two models. It measures 15 inches wide by 10.4 inches deep, with a combination of its thickness and the thin plastic used for the chassis. The Aspire 3 feels puffy, a bit like the laptop equivalent of a bag of potato chips before you open it. In addition to its sea of venting, the bottom panel hides an unusual feature for a budget laptop. Two small panels that afford easy access to the memory and hard drive, or rather to a hard drive bay. The compartment's lids are each held in place by a single screw. Behind one, you'll find the memory modules, and behind the other is an empty 2.5-inch drive bay. The Aspire 3's boot drive is a 256 GB solid-state drive that lies elsewhere on the motherboard. So you can add a second drive, a SATA 2.5-inch hard drive or SSD, to boost the storage. That's actually a rare perk in a budget laptop, and the idea of a decent-sized boot SSD paired with a roomy hard drive, you can find 1TB 2.5-inch hard drives for less than $50. Thanks to its AMD Ryzen 5 processor and integrated Vega graphics, this Aspire 3 loadout impresses with some very well-rounded performance for a budget machine. The boost that the Radeon Vega 8 graphics confers is especially significant. Kudos go to AMD for the core hardware. Alas, the battery life and the body are not up to snuff. Many users can swallow this sort of abbreviated battery runtime in a large 15-inch laptop, since it's not all that portable and will spend much of its life plugged in. However, even for an entry-level machine, the Aspire 3's design is, well, uninspired. The dull, low-resolution display and rackety touchpad make a recommendation difficult. The editor's choice-winning Asus VivoBook S15 S530UA retains its belt as our current budget pick. It's worth the added funds for its sleeker design, superior display, and similar performance. That is all for today, folks. Tell us in the comment section about your point of view. See you soon with another amazing video.